Greetings, everybody. This is FitSpaz Recovery. I am your host, Paul, the producer. I'm here to help you get fit, get healthy, and stay sober. It's time for the show. Yeah, okay. So maybe for some of you, that's a very irritating beginning. I just took down these sleeves because I'm just like a little bit chilly. I'm a little bit cold. Had a very interesting, productive last week. And an interesting day. I'm staying very busy, which is good. I find that the overall mood and spirit of my life is better off when I'm staying busy, engaged in activities, especially business-related activities. So let me start out like this. Just update you a little bit on my workouts I've been doing. I started my 7th week of 22-minute hardcore this week, and I've been kicking butt. The goal every time I work out has been to improve a little bit each and every time. I did this exercise or this routine called Cardio 1 yesterday, and I was so close to getting through the whole thing, but I'm just not quite there. Although it's such a drastic improvement from the beginning, when maybe I was going 4 minutes in and puttering out and being like, oh, I have to rest, and then still taking time out of other exercises. The fact that I can go almost the full 22 minutes, I make it into the third round, and there are these things called run lunge squats, and you have 50 reps. I did 36 out of 50 reps in the last round, and that's the last round of the workout. And so I'm just like 14 reps away from completing the 3 rounds, which blows my mind. And then they have the little bonus they do at the end. You do these bear crawls for 22 motions, and then you do 22 more additional burpees. Of those last 22 burpees, I did 11 of them. So I feel like I'm just so close to finishing this whole workout. I otherwise did all the other reps, and let me tell you, by the time I reach that point at the end, I am just spent. I'm exhausted. But like I was saying, it's so much more progress where I'm at compared to where I started out at the beginning of these 2 months. And I noticed that kind of progress in the past when I did a 2-month program called Insanity Max 30. I went from like pooping out 4 minutes in, 5 minutes in, like pooping out mad you're done, all the way up to a peak of 18 minutes out of the total 30-minute workout. And that is it's actually a harder workout than what I'm doing now. I've been pushing myself a tiny bit more. There are these other ones, resistance exercise, where there's a lot of resistance exercises. You use your body weight. You're doing squats with a sandbag and doing these arm extensions to hit your shoulders. And you're also doing other things, a couple things with weights, pull-ups, and these crazy things called mountain squats, where you lie down on your back and you sit up and stand all the way up from that while you're holding a weight. And I've added weight on all these things. I've been hitting a lot. Like the hardest one for me is resistance 3, but the first 2 resistance exercise programs I was having to pause to get through all of them. And since doing them more, I've just stopped pausing and kept going and hitting all the reps in the first 2. And the third one, I hit all the reps except for these. They're like push-ups, but you're doing wide, narrow, and you're doing a jack with your legs, and you're jumping off the ground. So it's not just a regular push-up, but you're actually leaping off the ground with your hands. And I have trouble keeping up with that one, but it certainly has improved. I've lost almost around 9 pounds, give or take a little bit, since I started doing this program 7 weeks ago. And no doubt it's because of the very hard extra cardio work I've been putting into this, but also because I've been disciplining my diet better. I don't want to like sulk in here and be all down like that. I see myself in this video and I'm like, I gotta look cool, man. So I've lost that weight and I see myself looking a little trim, and probably some of that is some muscle mass I've lost because I'm not doing the heavy weightlifting anymore, which I'm not done with by any stretch of the imagination, but I still have a pretty good body weight. I'm about 171, 172. Compare that to when I started weightlifting years ago. My low weight was about 143, so I still have some body mass on me. I still have some blubber around my belly, but a lot has fallen off the last couple months. Getting rid of desserts, extra snacks, and cutting carbs down, not entirely out. Still going to my parents' house and having pasta dinners and stuff. But what I've been cooking at home a lot, a couple times a week, I have these very clean salads for lunch, and all that helps. Tonight will be the last repetition of this dance routine I'm doing, size. And I'm excited because I finally completed this program, although it took a long while. The improvement I've seen, and just being able to say, hey, I finished size. And there's a good chance, maybe, possibly next week, I will post at the end of my podcast the dance routine that I'm finishing up this week. We'll see if I remember. I might do that. And I'm excited about that, finishing that up. So that's tonight. And I look forward to it with some amount of dread because it's 50 minutes of constant movement. And by the end, I'm actually like, I'm not nearly as wiped out as when I'm doing these cardio routines, which are much shorter and constant, heavy, balls to the wall stuff. But it's still very fun. Love the learning, love getting better with both the intense workouts and the dancing. And so that's my update with my fitness. All right. I'm very pleased with those results. Physically speaking, the transformation my body's had with the loss of weight and the increase in endurance and strength seem to be pretty cool too. This weekend, I'm running the Warrior Dash. Yay! A 5-kilometer race with obstacles, mud, barbed wire, climbing over walls, jumping in freezing water, getting my shoes full of an excessive amount of mud. Yay! So I'm a little nervous. Last year I hurt myself in a couple ways. This year I'm cognizant of how I hurt myself, and I'm going to be like, careful not to make those silly mistakes again. I got my hand slashed by barbed wire. I bashed my knee hard on something, and I was like limping and in pain the remainder of the day. I don't plan on doing that this weekend. I plan on trying to run through and finish this thing as quickly and as soon as possible. And with all the other exercise I've been doing, I should be able to do it. Because running in general, just like it is what it is, and it's not nearly as hard as some of these routines I've been doing where it's one thing to another and go, 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 and don't stop. So if I can run, I think I'll be able to run longer, I'm anticipating, than I can put up with these programs that switch you from one ridiculously hard exercise to another. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll see my buddy Brian down there. His daughter's running it, and my mom and my daughter will be there, and my sister. They'll all be there also to keep me company and provide moral support. So, what's up next? I will just briefly update you on the books that I'm still reading. I might have shown you this one definitely last week. I think this one is not, I was still reading The Rejection Proof last week, which was really cool. I finished that one up and I moved on to this 10 times rule. Very good stuff here. So I like to share what I'm reading with you guys. This is brilliant. If you can slow down and think a little bit when you're reading, this is not just a self-help book. This really makes you think about the nature of humanity and things we do where we think we're acting rationally, but we're really not acting rationally. And there's a psychological underpinning to the things we do that overrides rational decision making, and it's brilliant. Some of the stuff I've been reading is brilliant. I just want to recommend that book. I'm not going to get too into talking about a particular topic right now because I don't think it's relevant to some of the things I want to talk about. I always say on here how sobering up, the way I know how to sober up is to do my darndest, my best to pursue life and my fullest potential with total passion and intent, to be my greatest, to accomplish, to achieve, to learn, to grow, to be enriched. And so that's why I'm doing all this reading. That's why I'm doing the fitness. There are just many areas of my life I'm trying to cultivate to be a much fuller person more depth as a human being. And I'll never be perfect. I'll never be as intelligent as some people, but I do okay in my little world. I think I do okay. The 10 times rule, very interesting, depending on how you apply this to life, all right? So very maybe simple explanation to this book, which is you need to put a heck of a lot more actual effort into your goals than you probably are putting. Most people have a tendency to underestimate what they want to accomplish in life. And what this book says is instead of underestimating, you need to set a higher goal, but also very realistically, in a determined way, decide to put in 10 times the effort. Seriously, 10 times the effort. Not just a metaphor. You're supposed to take this literally, the amount of energy and effort you're supposed to put into something to achieve your goal. And so that applies to many aspects of life. If you want a successful marriage, if you want to succeed in your business, if you want to succeed at becoming Mr. Olympia, you're going to have to do a heck of a lot more than what I'm doing, for sure, to build those big muscles, to eat all day long, extra effort. It just goes on and on about the extra effort you have to put into things. If you're embarking on a legal battle, for example, you just have to prepare yourself mentally to put in way more work than you might think is necessary. So if you're estimating that to accomplish that goal, you're probably going to have to put in that. And for those of you on the podcast, I'm just making a small little size with my fingers and saying you need to put in 10 times as much of that volume in terms of work and effort to get it done. So vital, so important, and I believe it. And that's what I've been trying to do. I had a great day a couple days ago where I did something like that. And I said to myself, like, wow, I would really totally get somewhere if with the most important things in my life, I did that every single day. If I made that my total mode of life. And so then at the end of the day, a couple days ago, I reflected on my day and I thought, did I do everything I could have possibly done to really push all this forward? And I came up with an answer that even though I multiplied my effort, I still could have done a great deal more proportionately. And so I thought, I'm going to try and develop that perfect kind of day for me, where here are all the most vital things for me to achieve these particular goals I have in life, socially, personally, maybe finding a spouse, and of course, yes, professionally, and put extra ridiculous amounts of effort into it. Not to get burned out, but to discipline myself, to really change my life through hard work, consistency, and patience. Most of all, patience, because you get burned out and you're like, oh, I'm not getting anywhere. But you just need to double down. I'll tell you what, it tells you more about your character, in my opinion, to do something that you don't want to do and follow through with it and do it with exceptional flying colors. It tells you more about your character doing that than it does to be like, well, I want to go and do this tonight. Tonight I want to go to the bar and drink. Tonight I want to watch 5 hours of television on Netflix. It tells you way more what you're doing. I mean, so long term you want to do things, right? But short term it's not as fun. Short term is where the sort of turmoil is dealing with things. But let me tell you, that's all part of the self-discipline you have to develop. I think it's true with drug use too, because in the short term you're just like, oh, whatever, what are the repercussions? I get high. And then yeah, your long term's gonna suffer if you get high and you're just sitting there sedentary in a chair like, I'm doing this. So, but I'm really highlighting what is for me lately a big personal push to try and do more, try and put out more content, including with this show. So like I've been putting this out once a week. I also have this habit of when I watch it, I'm not just sitting and passively watching it. I'm taking notes like, oh, here's a good part of this to clip out, make a short video clip of, and put that up on Facebook as content, because I seem to get more traction as far as the reach, people seeing it exposure-wise when I do that. So I'm trying to follow the pattern of taking 3 videos a week, sometimes maybe more if I because I make notes. I go, okay, at 14 minutes, here's where I start talking about an interesting topic, and I take it and I condense it down. I usually try and make it less than a minute so that it can also fit on Instagram and whatnot. So I'm just giving you examples of things I'm doing to push every little thing further to better what I'm doing. And so, yeah, so I might do this 3 more months, and it's like I still haven't reached the point where I meet some critical mass where things are starting to pop and the momentum's starting to hit. The momentum I have going really is on my personal level right now. But in order for it to really pay off, I think it takes that patience and consistency over the long haul. So I'm trying to get all the routines down. In addition to that, like I'm trying to build the fitness business, don't want to get too into it. So I'm still trying to push forward my bed of knowledge with advertising on Facebook, which I think is a very valuable thing if you figure out how to utilize it correctly. So all these things I'm pushing forward. The amount of people I'm talking to day to day has changed. Like I'm actually picking up the phone and calling people where before I wasn't doing that. And now I just want more people to talk to, more people to call. I am writing all kinds of messages, making contact with people, trying my hardest to connect. Notice something very interesting. Yesterday was a little different, okay? I didn't quite accomplish everything that I normally like to accomplish in a day, getting things done. I went to the library, and what I usually do is in the study room that I reserve, there's a whiteboard where I write down, here's what I'm doing today. I'm reading this, doing this task, cutting some videos, posting content on my like page, and doing these invites. And I think that is a very powerful tool. I've been very much following through with these lists I'm making on the board. So I accomplish one task, I get up, put a check mark next to it. Done. On to the next. It gives me this focus. But yesterday, you see, I got sidetracked. I decided to update the software on my phone and then wipe it and do a factory reset so that all the data and contents and stuff was wiped clean to get rid of software corruption, which was causing my battery to go dead at an accelerated rate. And that seemed to work, but it was a tedious task. It wound up taking me hours to get my phone back to kind of where I want it, where I need it. And I had to call Apple, and I spent an hour on the phone with Apple. So I went into the library yesterday, and the one thing I did not do the same was write down, what am I getting done here today? And by golly, there were certain things I didn't get done, which I should have gotten done. I still wound up being productive as far as getting my phone in working order again, because it is a tool I use with these things. I'm filming myself with it right now. And so what I was going to say was I also got my reading done, but there was a big difference in the whole way my mind was working when I didn't have that focused list on the board. Shalene always says, like, write it down, write your goals down. I've heard other people say, you got to write your goals down. So I feel like when I go into the library and I make a list on the board, it sets the agenda for the day. And there's something about it that propels me to get these things done on the list. So keep that in mind, actually. So my advice there is, if you have an agenda, if you're wanting to get things done, really isolate the most important things you should be doing to better yourself and move yourself forward to those goals, and write it down. I think that's valuable. I think it's working for me. I think I observe that. So, but still, you know, part of that, I am just really enjoying reading lately. And when I find something I like to read, it is stirring me up and making me want to accomplish and do things. And it's all in a positive way. Like, in a way, like I know I'm doing things that are going to wind up helping people as I pass along the knowledge. As you hear how enthusiastic I am, I'm not faking it right now. I feel enthusiastic about a lot of aspects of my life. I don't share that much with my family, although maybe I should. It was very interesting, though. Today, I was with my father, and part of what I do with my work is with my father. I help him manage his commercial investments and so forth. And so we went today and we met a commercial leasing agent for this commercial property he has, renting out space to retail people and whatnot. And it got me thinking about a lot of stuff. There are some problems there, which I'll stay sort of ambiguous about. I look at the property as like, so you have all these tenants, right? It's an ecosystem for economic activity. And there is a give and take relationship between landlords and tenants. And a really good-hearted landlord wants their tenant to succeed and thrive, because ultimately it means people are establishing their business, a value for their life, a purpose for their life, and they get somewhere with it. They grow. So you want to have a good relationship with the tenant. And so there's really everything to gain and nothing to lose by, as a landlord, wanting your tenant to thrive in their business, because like I said, it's an ecosystem. And so when you have a fracture in that system, like sometimes you have a partner that's not in sync with the goals or way things the way things need to be done, or the way things have always been done, but they've taken a detour in another direction, and you're like, oh, how do I deal with this? But so actually it's so easy to hurt that harmony that should be created in something like this. It's much easier in life, in the broad sense, to cause damage to something like that than actually put the effort in to make it good. And on a personal level, I actually care when someone's there running their business. As someone who has done something very similar to that, running a retail location, paying rent on a space, having to do sales and make money to pay your bills, I take it very seriously, and I love industrious people. So if I were in charge, which I'm not, and my dad is in part, and he agrees, and this is he's partly where I've learned this from, you want those people to thrive. You want people to do well. And you get a satisfaction out of it. When you enable them as the landlord, you can go to bed at night knowing I helped them get something done. I help them be a business entity that grows, to provide more for their family, contribute to their success. Do you realize what a wonderful thing that is in life, when you actually have a situation created where you're actually helping people succeed? So that's why success matters to me. That's why helping people stay off drugs and alcohol matter if they're having problems with those things. It's not an indictment of everyone when I say that. Just people with problems who need to get on a different track in life. Helping people succeed, feel better about themselves, progress financially, be better parents, be better spouses, family members, cousins, sons, daughters, brothers, sisters. All of the above. What a special thing when you can actually contribute to the well-being of someone else's life. And moreover, especially when you can help somebody become more successful. I'm like partly driven by that. If you haven't gotten the point, this is like evolving into a self-help podcast where, yeah, fitness is part of it, spiritual cultivation is part of it, bettering yourself in many ways, intellectually, financially, building your skill set, doing things you love, creating the kind of harmonious life that's going somewhere that makes you really happy to wake up every day. Getting rid of the fluff, too. The things that are truly a waste of your time, but they're easy and they're fun. They're like your short-term guilty pleasures. Having a dessert when you're trying to lose weight, not doing that. Developing the disciplines of life to make the perfect life, to create the perfect life, to cultivate the ideal kind of life. And it's so easy in the world for the negative. It's much easier for the negative side to thrive if the goal is inherently negative. If the goal is inherently one where you want to hurt people, that's easy. Really, the challenge is doing something special that takes fire. It's like you can put a lot of work in. You can put a little bit of work into being negative and get a lot of negative back. You can put a lot of work into being positive, and it's much harder to get that return and get that momentum going. But it's so much more worth it. It's disproportionately so much more worth it to try and focus and go in that positive direction than it is to go in a negative direction. So I like this sort of rich tapestry I have in life to really experience different things, different walks of life. I mean, I have a rich diversity, and the common thread is there are ways in every one of these to learn, to grow, and to help others. So that's my goal for my life. I would like to know your goals for your life. So if you want to send me feedback, send it to paul@fitspaz.com and tell me honestly what you like about what I say, what you might not like. Be nice, don't be hating or I'll be blocking. But I want to know what I can do to help improve your life or what might have been good for you so far. Because I'm at this stage in my life, I always said after I did my marijuana radio show that if I ever got involved in anything again, that it wouldn't be political and it wouldn't be negative. It would be positive. And I think I found it. How far can I go with this? Paul, how far can you go with this? I need some people out there, some teammates for sure to build that momentum, because so much more can be accomplished in a very capable group than just as one person. So I'm always looking for those special other people. Heck, if you're in the Denver area, reach out to me. Because if there's a special connection there, I would sure like to have the right kinds of success partners in life. I believe in that momentum with others. So let me start wrapping this up. I think I had a very good, enthusiastic show, very lucid, making lots of good points, and you can tie it into all kinds of different things you might be suffering with in your life. So, by all means, Pete's sake, if you're waiting on changes, don't wait, because that time is ticking, they say, really, not clicking, right? That was my first verbal snafu I think I had in this little program here today. But so I want to thank Kevin MacLeod, who provides the music for this show, and you can check out him by going to incompetech.com. That's right, incompetech.com. You can always follow or like the page on Facebook. Go to FitSpaz.com and you'll have access to all the social media. You can watch the videos on Facebook. You can also watch them. The Facebook like page has a little tab where there is the option to see the YouTube videos, or you can go to YouTube, search FitSpaz Recovery, and you will find this. So I'm Paul, the producer, and this is FitSpaz Recovery, and I have an exciting couple of weeks coming up. I am just jazzed about what's happening. I'm trying to figure out my pattern of life and stick to it like butter on bread. Yeah. Anyway, everybody, I hope you all have a good week in the meanwhile. And is that really? Okay. Outro. All right, everybody. I'm wrapping this up now. You have yourself a good week. I insist you have a good week. I insist you laugh. I insist you move your life a little bit every single day in the trajectory, in the direction that you need to. And now I'm just babbling. So I'm going to wrap this up and say, have a nice day. We'll see you next week.